Hello and welcome. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel. By joining us, you will explore timeless wisdom that can transform your life. Now, let's embark on a journey into what it truly means to live well, as understood by the ancient philosophers. Imagine for a moment a life lived with purpose, clarity, and dignity. This was the vision held by thinkers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics, who believed that living well was not about accumulating wealth or fleeting pleasures, but about cultivating the inner life, fostering virtues, and understanding the human condition. To the ancients, the concept of a good life or eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or human thriving, was central to philosophy. It was not merely an abstract idea. It was a guide for daily living. For Aristotle, for instance, eudaimonia was achieved by exercising reason in accordance with virtue. This meant that the highest purpose of human life was to develop moral and intellectual virtues, and to live in harmony with one's true nature. Socrates, who dedicated his life to examining human behavior and thought, emphasized self-knowledge as the cornerstone of living well. His famous assertion that the unexamined life is not worth living reminds us that without reflection, our actions risk becoming mechanical, guided by habits, societal pressures, or shallow desires. Self-examination, in the Socratic sense, requires honest evaluation of one's values, choices, and the motives behind them. It is a continuous process, one that encourages humility and the pursuit of wisdom. Plato, Socrates' most famous student, extended this vision. In his dialogues, he described a life oriented toward truth, beauty, and goodness. For Plato, living well was inseparable from knowledge of the forms, eternal, unchanging ideals that guide ethical behavior. While this might seem abstract, the practical implication was clear. To live well, one must strive for moral clarity, cultivate the soul, and resist the distractions of superficial pleasures. In Plato's ideal, the philosopher king represents the ultimate synthesis of wisdom and virtue, embodying the harmony of intellect and character. Aristotle, while a student of Plato, grounded his philosophy in practical life. He recognized that humans are social beings, and that flourishing occurs not in isolation but within the community. He observed that virtues such as courage, temperance, and justice are cultivated through habit. By repeatedly choosing actions aligned with virtue, one forms character and gradually aligns life with reason. Aristotle also emphasized moderation, the golden mean, suggesting that excess and deficiency are both impediments to flourishing. To live well, therefore, is to act with prudence, to balance desires with rational judgment, and to engage in meaningful relationships and civic life. While Greek philosophy often focuses on rationality and virtue, the Stoics, emerging later, emphasized resilience and tranquility in the face of life's uncertainties. Figures like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius argued that external events are largely beyond our control, and that true freedom lies in mastering our responses. According to the Stoics, living well involves cultivating inner discipline, aligning desires with nature, and accepting the impermanence of worldly things. In this sense, happiness is not dependent on fortune, but on the integrity of one's character. Consider Epictetus' teaching, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound insight encourages a life of conscious choice, reminding us that while we cannot dictate circumstances, we can govern our attitudes. By focusing on what lies within our power, we build resilience, serenity, and moral strength. Seneca, too, advised that wealth, status, or external comfort are irrelevant to the good life if one lacks virtue. To live well, he insisted, is to embrace reason, act ethically, and cultivate a mind unshaken by fortune. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, left behind meditations that continue to inspire. He wrote extensively on the impermanence of life, the inevitability of suffering, and the importance of aligning oneself with nature. His reflections invite us to consider mortality not as a threat, but as motivation to live authentically. By acknowledging life's fragility, we learn to prioritize virtue, kindness, and meaningful engagement over trivial concerns or superficial desires. Living well, in the Stoic sense, is to navigate life with purpose, integrity, and mindfulness, even amidst uncertainty and adversity. Beyond Greek and Roman thought, it is worth noting that the ancients consistently emphasized the harmony between self-knowledge, ethical conduct, and practical wisdom. To live well was not simply to achieve pleasure or avoid pain, but to cultivate a life of balance, reflection, and moral clarity. Philosophy, for them, was a guide to action as much as contemplation, a set of principles to live by rather than mere intellectual exercises. Consider a practical example. In modern life, we often chase career success, material accumulation, or social approval, sometimes at the cost of our own integrity or well-being. The ancients would remind us that such pursuits, while not inherently wrong, are insufficient for a truly flourishing life. Without virtues such as honesty, courage, and temperance, our achievements remain hollow. Reflection, ethical discernment, and mindful living are what transform ordinary existence into a life that is rich in meaning and purpose. Even the pursuit of pleasure, a topic debated by philosophers such as Epicurus, was reframed as a matter of reasoned choice. Epicurus argued that true pleasure arises not from indulgence or excess, but from the absence of pain, tranquility of mind, and the cultivation of simple joys. He recommended friendship, moderation, and philosophical reflection as the foundations of happiness. Thus, living well is not a matter of indulgence, but of aligning desires with reason, valuing enduring satisfaction over fleeting gratification, and nurturing relationships that sustain the soul. The wisdom of the ancients is remarkably relevant today. In an era of distraction, noise, and constant change, their teachings offer a roadmap for thoughtful living. They encourage us to slow down, reflect on our values, and examine our actions. They remind us that happiness is not found in external validation or possessions, but in the cultivation of character, the practice of virtue, and the alignment of life with one's deepest principles. Another key insight is the role of community and connection. Aristotle, in particular, emphasized that humans are inherently social. Our flourishing is intertwined with the well-being of others. Acts of justice, generosity, and kindness are not merely moral duties. They are essential to the human experience. Living well, therefore, involves engagement with society, meaningful relationships, and contributing to the common good. The ancients understood that the life of virtue is inherently relational. It is expressed in how we treat others, how we fulfill our roles, and how we balance personal excellence with communal responsibility. Even in adversity, the ancients provide guidance. The Stoics, for instance, taught that suffering and misfortune are inevitable parts of life. What matters is our response. By cultivating equanimity, patience, and moral courage, we transform challenges into opportunities for growth. This perspective does not deny difficulty or pain. Rather, it empowers us to navigate life with dignity, resilience, and purpose. By embracing this mindset, we build an inner fortress that allows us to face life's uncertainties without losing our sense of integrity or meaning. The integration of wisdom, virtue, and practical action emerges as a recurring theme across ancient philosophies. Living well is thus a holistic endeavor. It requires attention to the mind, the character, and the world around us. Reflection without action is incomplete, just as action without reflection can lead to chaos or harm. True flourishing demands that we cultivate insight, make ethical choices, and engage in life with both courage and compassion. Finally, the pursuit of a good life, according to the ancients, is ongoing. It is a journey rather than a destination. Life will invariably present challenges, temptations, and uncertainty, yet the principles of wisdom, virtue, and reflection provide a compass. Each day is an opportunity to practice self-knowledge, to act ethically, and to nurture the qualities that constitute flourishing. In this light, living well is not about perfection, but about commitment to growth, integrity, and conscious engagement with life. As we move forward into the second part of this exploration, we will delve deeper into the practical applications of these philosophies, examining how the teachings of the ancients can guide our daily choices, relationships, and responses to the modern world. We will uncover strategies for cultivating virtue, resilience, and purpose, and explore how timeless wisdom can inspire us to live more fully, intentionally, and meaningfully. As we continue our exploration, let us turn our attention to how the wisdom of the ancients can be applied in our everyday lives. Living well, as they understood, is not a matter of abstract theory, but of concrete choices and deliberate actions. It is about cultivating habits, shaping character, and responding to the world with mindfulness and purpose. Consider the daily practice of reflection. Socrates emphasized the importance of self-examination, and this remains profoundly relevant today. By taking time each day to review our actions, our intentions, and our thoughts, we create a space for growth. This practice is not about self-criticism or judgment. It is about awareness. It allows us to recognize patterns, identify areas for improvement, and ensure that our lives align with our deepest values. A reflective life is a deliberate life, guided not by impulse or circumstance, but by wisdom and reason. Aristotle teaches us the value of moderation, or the golden mean, which encourages balance in all aspects of life. In modern terms, this might involve balancing work and leisure, ambition and contentment, or engagement with others and time for oneself. Excess in any area, whether it is overindulgence, overwork, or excessive attachment to material success, can disturb inner harmony. By seeking balance, we nurture resilience, clarity, and a sense of well-being that extends beyond fleeting pleasure. The Stoics, too, offer practical tools for daily living. They remind us that external circumstances are often beyond our control, but our reactions are always within our power. By focusing on our choices, cultivating rational thought, and practicing acceptance, we can maintain tranquility even amid adversity. For example, when facing setbacks at work, in relationships, or in personal goals, a Stoic approach encourages us to ask, what is within my control, and what is not? By directing energy toward what we can influence, our effort, our attitude, and our moral response, we reduce suffering and foster a sense of agency. Seneca wrote extensively about the fleeting nature of time, urging us to treat each moment as precious. In the modern context, this teaching encourages mindful living. To savor experiences, engage fully with others, and pursue meaningful work. Time once lost cannot be regained. By cultivating awareness of the present, we align our actions with what truly matters, rather than being swept along by distraction, habit, or societal pressure. The ancients recognized that a well-lived life is not measured by duration or quantity, but by quality and depth. Epicurus, often misunderstood as advocating indulgence, provides another vital insight. He distinguished between short-lived pleasures and enduring satisfaction. In practical terms, this means prioritizing experiences and relationships that bring lasting fulfillment over transient gratification. Friendship, intellectual engagement, and reflection were central to Epicurus' vision of a flourishing life. In today's context, this translates into valuing genuine connections, pursuing meaningful projects, and cultivating an inner life rich in understanding and contentment. Another key principle is courage, the willingness to act rightly even in the face of fear. Aristotle, the Stoics, and other philosophers recognized that virtue often demands moral bravery. This might manifest in standing up for ethical principles at work, confronting personal weaknesses, or speaking truth in difficult situations. Courage is not reckless action. It is informed, principled action guided by reason. Living well requires us to develop this inner strength, to face challenges with integrity, and to align our actions with our highest values. Justice, too, plays a central role in the philosophy of a good life. Ancient thinkers consistently emphasized fairness, honesty, and respect for others. Living well is not merely a private endeavor. It encompasses our interactions with the world. Acting justly, honoring commitments, and contributing to the welfare of others are integral to flourishing. Our moral choices have consequences not only for ourselves but for the communities we inhabit. A life of virtue, therefore, is inherently relational, and the pursuit of personal excellence must be coupled with concern for the common good. Temperance, the regulation of desires, is another cornerstone of ancient wisdom. Excessive attachment to pleasure, material wealth, or recognition can disrupt inner peace. By exercising self-discipline, we maintain clarity, focus, and the ability to respond to life with discernment. Temperance does not imply renunciation or austerity, but rather thoughtful engagement, enjoying what is good without being enslaved by it. It is the cultivation of freedom through mastery of oneself, a principle that remains deeply relevant in our consumer-driven, distraction-filled age. The ancients also teach us that adversity is an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminds us that life is impermanent, and that misfortune is natural. Instead of resisting reality, he encourages acceptance and reflection. When faced with loss, disappointment, or suffering, the philosophical approach is to examine what can be learned, what virtues can be strengthened, and how character can be refined. In this light, difficulties are not merely obstacles. They are instruments of growth, shaping wisdom, resilience, and moral fortitude. Happiness, then, emerges not as an external acquisition but as a byproduct of living according to reason and virtue. It is not something we chase. It is something we cultivate through choices, habits, and a life aligned with ethical and intellectual principles. Eudaimonia, the flourishing life, is thus a dynamic, ongoing process. It is realized not in isolation but in engagement with oneself, with others, and with the broader world. Each decision, each action, contributes to the tapestry of a well-lived life. Let us reflect on practical applications. Daily routines can be structured around the cultivation of virtue. Begin the day with reflection, setting intentions that align with moral principles. Approach work and relationships with honesty, diligence, and care. When confronted with challenges, pause and consider your response. Is it guided by reason, integrity, and compassion? Seek balance in all things, tempering ambition with contentment, activity with rest, and engagement with introspection. By integrating these practices, the teachings of the ancients become living, breathing guides for modern life. Relationships, in particular, are a fertile ground for the application of ancient wisdom. Aristotle emphasized friendship as essential to the good life, recognizing that humans thrive in mutual respect, support, and shared pursuit of virtue. In modern terms, this suggests cultivating authentic connections, valuing empathy and generosity, and investing in relationships that nourish both character and spirit. The quality of our interactions profoundly influences the quality of our lives, and living well requires attentiveness to the ethical and emotional dimensions of connection. Moreover, the integration of reason and emotion is critical. The Stoics, while emphasizing rationality, acknowledged that emotions are natural and informative. The goal is not suppression but regulation. Understanding the source of emotions, evaluating their validity, and responding with discernment. By harmonizing intellect and feeling, we achieve a balanced, resilient state of mind. This balance allows us to navigate complexity with clarity, to act with both empathy and judgment, and to maintain inner tranquility amid the inevitable fluctuations of life. Another modern insight drawn from ancient philosophy is the importance of purpose. Plato and Aristotle remind us that a life without aim or guiding principles is directionless. Purpose does not have to be grandiose. It may be the cultivation of knowledge, the nurturing of relationships, or the pursuit of meaningful work. What matters is that life is intentional, that actions are aligned with enduring values, and that we contribute positively to the world. Purpose imbues ordinary days with significance, transforming routine into an expression of virtue and meaning. Finally, let us consider the broader perspective offered by the ancients, the recognition of our place in the cosmos. Stoics, in particular, emphasized living in accordance with nature, acknowledging the interconnectedness of all things. This perspective fosters humility, gratitude, and acceptance. We are part of a larger whole, and our actions reverberate beyond ourselves. Living well, therefore, encompasses responsibility, awareness, and alignment with universal principles. It encourages us to act ethically, pursue wisdom, and embrace life with both courage and reverence. In conclusion, the teachings of ancient philosophers offer timeless guidance for living well. They remind us that happiness is not found in fleeting pleasure, wealth, or status, but in the cultivation of character, the exercise of reason, and the pursuit of virtue. Life is a journey of growth, reflection, and ethical engagement. By practicing self-knowledge, temperance, courage, justice, and mindfulness, we align ourselves with the principles that constitute human flourishing. As you reflect on these teachings, consider how they might inform your own life. Begin with small, deliberate steps. Take time for daily reflection, cultivate meaningful relationships, act with integrity, and seek balance in all things. Over time, these practices will shape character, enrich experience, and foster a life of purpose and resilience. Living well, according to the ancients, is not a distant ideal but a practical, attainable way of life. It is a commitment to growth, a dedication to virtue, and a conscious engagement with the world around us. By embracing this philosophy, we can navigate life's challenges with wisdom, cultivate inner peace, and experience the enduring fulfillment that comes from living in harmony with our highest principles. Remember, the journey to a flourishing life is ongoing. Each day presents opportunities for reflection, ethical action, and the cultivation of wisdom. As you integrate these timeless insights into your own life, you step into a path that has guided humanity for centuries, a path of virtue, purpose, and profound fulfillment.